Play clock at 5. Pass is intercepted at the goal line by Malcolm Butler. Unreal. Pass to White. He's in. Patriots win the Super Bowl. Brady has his 5th. What a comeback.
This is All Eyes on the Pats podcast.
Welcome to another edition of All Eyes on the Pats podcast. I'm your host, Steve Atkinson. Got a full show tonight about the Patriots and the starter free agency. Happy New Year. Free agency kicked off today, the new league year at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And the NFL season, I should say the new league year has kicked off with a lot of free agent signings from all over the league, trades, everything. What have the Patriots done? Hey, Bill, how have you done? What have you done to add to this team so far? That, my friends and Patriot fans, is a dial tone. The Patriots have so far had a dial tone off season. Literally and figuratively, they've done nothing but subtract from this team. They haven't made any new additions, any surprising additions, nothing. They have done nothing. They have strictly done this. That is it, my friends. That is it. That is all they've done so far, is just a busy signal. All they've done so far is trade Shaq Mason to the Buccaneers. Ted Karras signed with the Chiefs. Jacob Johnson went to the Raiders. Gunnar Olszewski is now a free agent. J.C. Jackson signs a $40 million guaranteed contract. I think it's 5 years with the Chargers. Brandon Bolden goes to the Raiders. The Patriots haven't done anything so far but lose guys. Chase Winovich went to the Browns, which I'm going to play you. We're going to get to Chase Winovich in a little bit. But I want to talk about this time last year where they got Hunter Henry. They got Jonnu Smith. They went out and got Matt Judon. They spent record-setting numbers in free agency. And Robert Kraft came in after and said, you have to build through the draft. You can't build in free agency. But also, if you look at the coaching staff last year, you had Josh McDaniels as the offensive coordinator. Joe Judge wasn't here. Patricia was here. Mayo was here. Steve Belichick was here. The other coaches were here, but Joe Judge wasn't. Now you fast forward, you draft you land Mac Jones, you draft Mac Jones. You want to say they got Mac Jones or whatever you want to say. You know, whose idea was it to get Mac Jones? Was it Kraft at pick 15 who said, "Hey, Bill, you see Mac, you better take him." And then Cam Newton doesn't test positive for COVID. Oh, you got to start Mac Jones now. So they spend this record-setting number last year with signing guys. Kendrick Bourne, Aguilar, they got 2 tight ends. Aguilar doesn't pan out. Jonnu Smith doesn't pan out. They finished 10-8. They lose in the wild card game. J.C. Jackson, Mr. INT, wants his money, talking to the media. He goes and gets paid by the Chargers. Josh McDaniels leaves. Goes to the Raiders. Takes half the Patriots coaching, half assistants with him. Also takes Jacob Johnson and Brandon Bolden with him as well. Patriots West Coast is now the Las Vegas Raiders. Mind you, the Belichick is trying to build his coaching staff, his offensive coaching staff. He doesn't get an offensive coordinator. He brings back Joe Judge from the Giants, who got fired. Nick Caley's here. And then you don't know who's going to run quarterbacks. You don't know who's going to be your defensive coordinator. Gerard Mayo, Steve Belichick. Steve Belichick calls the plays. Gerard Mayo runs the meetings. So what have the Patriots added so far this free agency period? Devin McCourty. Why is Devin McCourty back? To help with the secondary. Because they don't have a defensive coordinator. So he's helping Brian Belichick with the secondary. Matthew Slater's here to help with the special teams. Brian Hoyer is here to be a player coach for Mac Jones because there's no quarterback coach and there's no offensive coordinator. James Ferentz is back. Nick Folk is back because they're not going to go get a cheap kicker. Nick Folk's the cheapest kicker they can get. James White is back. They almost lost James White to the Raiders. Jacoby Myers will probably be back. They got Mack Wilson from the Browns, and they got Terrence Williams today from the Texans, who's been on like 6 teams in 5 years. And had 1 interception last year, and I think it was from you. That's the Patriots offseason so far, from this year to last year. It's like they went back. Meanwhile, at 7 o'clock tonight, the Buffalo Bills got Von Miller and O.J. Howard. And they already beat you twice. They already the top of the AFC East. Good luck getting past them. As of right now, as of tonight, March 16th, the Patriots are probably more behind the Bills now than they were a year ago. Because the Bills just got 10 times better, adding another tight end and Von Miller. The Patriots don't have an offensive line. The Patriots lost guys on the offensive line to other teams. So as of right now, Mac Jones isn't protected by Von Miller. He's going to get crushed. Crushed. They have a lot of work to do. Now, they went to the Georgia Pro Day today, Bill Belichick and Matt Patricia and Matt Groh. Were they scouting guys? What were they doing? Were they scouting guys? Maybe. That's good. They got to hit on this draft. They have to hit on this draft, or they're not done yet. They're not done in free agency. There's guys out there that they can get. They have money. Millions of dollars. They have money. We're talking about, you literally spent record-setting numbers last year to win now because your former quarterback, Tom Brady, went in and won a fucking Super Bowl. You got butthurt, so you said, okay, we got to load up. And now you're going to go back and be like, oh, this is a rebuild? When you should have just rebuilt it last year. You went 7-9 the year before with Cam Newton. So you had the 15th overall pick. You just built through the draft last year. And then this year, you signed free agents. You literally just signed free agents last year. Now you got great. You got a wide receiver. You got a tight end. But it's backwards. They literally just went backwards. What was the point of spending all of that money last year? Tell me. I don't know. I don't get what that point was. It doesn't make any sense. You don't have a cornerback. Terrence Williams, I don't know. Can this guy play? He's been on like 6 teams in like 5 years. Can this guy effing play? Is he even that good? He had 1 interception last year. The Chargers are fucking loaded. The Chargers are better than you right now. I know you beat them, but as of right now, the Chargers are better than you. They are. It's a little scary going into free agency right now if you're a Patriots fan. Because the Patriots and Bill Belichick and his staff is all FOBs, friends of Bill or sons of Bill. Why did they draft Chase Winovich? Why? Why do they draft Michigan players? Because Ben McDaniels, who is Josh McDaniels' brother, is an assistant coach at Michigan, and probably said to Bill, you should draft Chase Winovich. Ben McDaniels was also a coach at Rutgers where Steve Belichick went. It's all friends of Bill. Chase Winovich went on Zolak and Bertrand in 2020 and said he doesn't understand the effing game plan. He doesn't always understand the game plan. What person says that? What professional football player will go on the radio and publicly say they don't understand the game plan? I don't know one besides Chase Winovich. I'm going to play the audio. This is from Zolak and Bertrand on 98.5 The Sports Hub. Chase Winovich talking about how he doesn't understand the game plan.
To be honest, sometimes I don't really quite understand the game plan, but in terms of what goes into it and the snap count and all that stuff, but that is what it is, and the past 3 weeks have been a challenge for sure. But it's easy making plays for me. It's tougher to kind of be idle while that goes on. But at the end of the day, it's like it's a great opportunity. It's a new week, and just to be able to go out there and practice with my teammates and try to to do what I can.
So that was in 2020. He didn't play that much last year. He didn't play in the wild card loss to the Buffalo Bills. So his days were numbered in a Patriots uniform, especially after making those comments. If I'm him, I'm glad I'm out because he didn't belong here. He wasn't a fit for the Patriots. He wasn't. He was too full of himself. He thinks he's better than what he is. And he just was too, he probably felt he was walking on eggshells because he was playing in front of Belichick. And he was afraid to make a mistake. And then he didn't know what to say. And when he did talk, he always said the wrong fucking things. He didn't know better to shut up because he was always so uptight. He was so uptight. He loves it better now that he got traded to the Cleveland Browns. Let me tell you right now, he is so relieved that he doesn't have to be with Belichick or have to sniff the Patriots. He can go to Cleveland and do whatever the fuck he wants and smile to the camera on the field at, whoever the photographer is that's taking a picture in the stands. He can do whatever he wants on the football field. He'll probably get so much playing time now, more playing time than he did in New England because it's not strict. The Patriots are too strict. Bill's too hard to play for. Chase isn't going to say that now, but he's so relieved that he's gone from New England because he could not get this system if his life depended on it. He couldn't do it. He could not do it. Couldn't do it. So if I'm the Patriots, I'm at George's Pro Day, and you see all these names going off the board, and you see all these guys from the team that are leaving. Look at, like I said, Brian Hoyer came back as a player coach to Mac Jones. Jimmy Stewart from Felger Maz said today that he heard that Mac Jones and Brian Hoyer are teaching Joe Judge the playbook, which doesn't make any sense. Hire an offensive coordinator to come here and teach Mac Jones. Maybe some plays and his own plays. Why would a player, a rookie, a quarterback in his second year, teach Joe Judge the offensive playbook? That doesn't make any sense. That makes no sense to me, right? At least Brian Hoyer, I trust Brian Hoyer to teach Mac Jones the Patriots playbook more than I trust Joe Judge. So instead of making Brian Hoyer say, a quarterback's coach, you're making him a backup quarterback. Just make him the fucking coach. Make him the quarterback's coach. I'd rather have him than Joe Judge be the quarterback's coach. Mac Jones is going to listen to Brian Hoyer before he listens to Joe Judge. Brian Hoyer has been in this system for years and years and years in the offense and the quarterbacks. He was on the Tom Brady for years. Why wouldn't you just make him the quarterback's coach and make Jared Stidham the backup? Who gives a shit? Stidham's not going to get on the field anyway. He's too busy on Instagram following his wife being an Instagram model. He's never going to sniff the field. He's no competition from Mac Jones. He's nothing. Nothing. You should have just fucking made Brian Hoyer the quarterback's coach. Because I think Jones is going to listen to Brian Hoyer more than he's going to listen to anyone else. Just like the Patriots defense, like Devin McCourty, is going to listen to Gerard Mayo over Steve Belichick, the coach's son. Devin McCourty is going to coach Brian Belichick, who coaches a secondary, but he's going to help Brian Belichick. It's all player coaches. It's all discombobulated. It's all dysfunctional, really. There's no structure anymore to the Patriot way. And you know where I'm sorry, but you know where the Patriot way is? It's in Tampa. It's in Tampa. I'm sorry to say it, but the Patriot way is in Tampa. And that's Brady. And that leads into my return of Tom Brady and my takes on Tom Brady. Coming back to the NFL. So, the end of the year, Brady says, okay, he's getting a lot of pressure, and he decides to, all right, I'm just going to, take some time. So he says, I'm not going to make that commitment anymore. And he says all these things about Tampa, thanks them, says goodbye, quits. Whatever. Month later, 40 days later, he goes on in Fred Couples' interview and says he's been on with his family for 5 weeks. 5 weeks, okay? He's probably getting sick of it. He knows he can still play. He goes to Manchester United soccer game across the pond in England. The Glazers, who own the Bucks, own the Manchester United team. He sits down, he talks to them, and he says, all right, I want out of my contract. I want to go somewhere. I want to pick where I want to go. And the Buccaneers said no. The Buccaneers said, we're going to tell you where you're either going to play for us, or if you don't want to play for us, you're going to retire because we hold your rights. So you can pick and choose. You can't pick and choose where you want to play. You have two choices. You either can play for us, and that's it, or you can retire. But we're not trading you. Even Bruce Arians said it was bad business at the Combine. Brady's back. So now Brady comes back. And you know what happened? They got their center back. They already tagged Godwin. They got another wide receiver, Perryman. Brady makes the calls. Brady's the GM. It's Brady's way. Bruce Arians got in the way a year ago. Because he did. He did. He got in the way. He would, Leftwich and Brady were teaming up the game plan. And Arians would go in and make changes. Brady didn't like it. And you could tell, he was getting fed up with Bruce Arians at the end. So it's Brady's team, not Arians. And Burt Breer said on the early edition or on NBC Sports Boston the other night that if they had it their way, Bruce Arians would have been out. If Brady really had it his way, Bruce Arians would have been out and Bill O'Brien would have been in there. Because in 2017, Brady wanted Belichick fired and O'Brien to be the head coach of the Patriots. It's too late now that for Tampa, and it's maybe too late for Tampa or for Brady to go to the 49ers, but the 49ers are keeping the light on that in case something does come up. But I don't see that happening. I think Brady's in Tampa because the Buccaneers aren't trading him. And Kyle Shanahan, who was the coach of the Falcons in the 28-3 game, doesn't like Brady. Shanahan knows that Brady would own him in San Fran. It would be Brady's show, not Kyle Shanahan. So it's Brady's show in Tampa and not Bruce Arians or not Jason Light. It's Brady's show. And how does that relate to the Patriots? It relates to the Patriots in this way, whereas Bill didn't want that. He didn't want it to be Brady's show because he knew that that's where it was heading. He knew that it was heading down this path of Brady this, Brady that, Brady. He didn't want that anymore. He wanted it to be his way or no way. That's what he wanted. And that's what he's doing now. Look at his coaching staff. Like I said, it's friends of Bill or people that he's coached before, his sons. It's people from Rutgers, or they'll go and get players from Michigan because a coach is brothers with Josh McDaniels, Ben McDaniels, or they go to Alabama and draft players because he's friends with Nick Saban. They're all friends of Bill. It's not a generic new thing. You know why? Because he's going to be 70 and he doesn't want to deal with that. He doesn't want to deal with, starting someone new and having somebody come in here, and telling him what to do. No, he knows that all of these people that he's hired that to come back here, like Joe Judge and Patricia, know that they're not gonna tell him what to do. They'll talk and they'll cooperate. But at the end of the day, Bill's gonna make the final call and make the final decision. Having the Buffalo Bills sign Von Miller and O.J. Howard today is a dagger to the Patriots offseason right now. They are so behind the Bills. They are more behind the Buffalo Bills now than they were a year ago. Than they were in January when they lost to them in the AFC wildcard game. They are so behind Buffalo right now, it isn't even funny. And don't mind you, the AFC has gotten so much better since January. Russell Wilson's in Denver. Justin Herbert and the Chargers are fucking loaded. The Raiders are the Patriots of the West Coast. Josh McDaniels has taken probably every fucking assistant coach and took them to the Raiders and GM. Brandon Bolden's there. Johnson, whatever. But Bolden was good last year for the Patriots. He was good. Chargers, loaded. Chiefs, Broncos. Right now, you don't have an offensive line. You don't have a cornerback. You need to draft a cornerback. You need to get something on the offensive line because Mac Jones is going to get killed by Von Miller, right? You still need a number one wide receiver. Haven't gotten that yet. Need a secondary because you really don't have one. They have a lot of work to do. They have more holes now than they did at the end of the year. Pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Leading into Steve's draft board. Safeties. First one they're going to draft, that they could draft. I'm going to pick a Michigan guy because, again, they love Michigan guys. Braxton Hill. His strengths, he's a crazy athletic talent. He ran a 4.38 in the 40 dash, which ranked 14th overall at the combine. A weird zone safety who is also adept in man coverage, could happily move to corner if required. He has long arms, press safety with size, athleticism, and ball skills. He's lean, athletic build with plenty of room for additional muscle mass. He gives up his body and run support with a very good closing burst. Good instincts and anticipation, reads and reacts with discipline, dangerous with the ball in his hands. Hill is a good open field tackler with burst and rage, ball skills, and a very good man coverage potential. His weaknesses: needs to get stronger and is a little lean. Hasn't had as many college starts as you would like, so the tape is limited. His summary is Hill has played all over the secondary for the Wolverines, and his versatility is almost in demand in the NFL, especially when paired with supreme athletic skills. The combine is where Hill will likely catapult himself into the first round of the 22 NFL draft, where pro teams are going to be wowed by his sky-high potential. A possible star at the next level if not rushed into action too soon. The second one. Brad Hawkins, again from Michigan. His strengths are tough and scrappy with forceful nature to be physical at all levels of the field. Has good bulk on his frame to be aggressive in run support. Strong enough to redirect receivers at the line and camouflage his average speed. Versatile with experience as in the box, safety, and man coverage. His weaknesses: questionable technique, and he gets lazy with fundamentals, opens his hips too early and allows himself to get turned into coverage, needs to get stronger, too easily lost in the trash, not a sudden athlete, and shows body stiffness when attempting to quickly redirect. And not great in coverage, does not have elite speed, and loses speed gears down while turning. The last one. Smoke Monday, Auburn. People are going to need to smoke after listening to this podcast in the Patriots offseason. Strengths: tough and scrappy with forceful nature to be physical at all levels of the field. He has good bulk on his frame to be aggressive in run support. A coordinated athlete with good footwork and balance. A heady cover player with above average field anticipation and space. Good hustle player who puts himself in the action when he's not directly involved. Knows how to get his height and vertical leap. His weaknesses: will slip off tackles and needs to finish more consistently. Needs to improve his footwork, balance, and coverage. Transitions out of his back pedal too early and doesn't look natural moving in reverse. Lowers his shoulder for the big hit rather than wrapping up securely. So, those are the safeties that the Patriots could draft. Those are the safeties that I picked, mainly because the two Michigan guys, Belichick will probably just go to the, Ben McDaniels or the coaches at Michigan that he's friends with, buddies with, and say, oh, what player's good? And, and then he'll go to, that's why they got Terrence Williams from Houston. All he had to do was fucking go to, I think that one pick was against the Patriots and Mac Jones this past season, and he has Nick Caserio, right? So you can just go to Nick and say, oh, how's Terrence Williams? Oh, he's good, he's great, yeah. He's been on fucking 6 teams in 5 years, so we'll see how good he is. They still need a cornerback. They don't have one. I don't care that they just got this Terrence Williams, Mac, and then this guy from the Browns. They got Mac Wilson from the Browns, this linebacker. I mean, he's younger than Chase Winovich, but we'll see how good he does, right? So they have a lot to do. This isn't over yet. This offseason, as of right now, they are 10 times worse than they were in January. With the Bills, again, good luck to them in the AFC East, because right now it doesn't look too good. So hopefully this time next week when I do this podcast, they will have a better offseason. Their offseason would have gotten better. They've added players. They've added an offensive line to compete with Buffalo. They added a wide receiver maybe. They added a few cornerback. They added a cornerback, and maybe we'll find out what Hightower was doing. Maybe Trent Brown. Another thing too, Trent Brown's visiting with Seattle tomorrow. Who knows where he's going, right? So that's another thing too, right? You lose Trent Brown, well, you're fucked. I mean, Trent Brown is still, on the running with the Patriots, but, if Seattle offers him a better deal, then he's probably going to go there, because the Patriots aren't going to pay, right? That's why J.C. Jackson, I want my money. Do you really fucking think J.C. Jackson is going to live up to that $40 million? 5 years. At 5 years, I think it's like $80 million, but $40 million is guaranteed or something like that. Do you really think he's going to do that? Do you think he's really the type of player that's going to live up to that contract? My personal feeling is no, because if he did, he wouldn't have given up in the wild card game against Buffalo and let his teammates down and let Stephon Diggs burn him all the time during that wild card game. So no, I don't think he's going to live up to the contract, because if you can't perform in the playoffs, it doesn't matter how much money you get. You got to perform when it matters the most, and he didn't in that wild card game. The best player on that fucking team on that wild card game was the quarterback. The defense and J.C. Jackson quit on Mac Jones. That's it. Good luck in L.A. You got your money now. See what happens. We'll see what happens. But I don't think he's going to live up to it. I don't. So, he's not a number one corner. He's not Gilmore. You know? So, we'll see. Patriots still got a lot of work to do, though. Hopefully next week's a better week. When I come in here and do this again, this podcast, when we talk about their additions, I want to talk about additions, not more subtractions, please. So having said that, you guys have a great week. I'll talk to you next week, and follow me on Twitter at SteveA1127. You can also donate to this podcast, to my Venmo account, which I will tweet out. I'll put in the description of this podcast. Also, read my stuff on nutsandboltsports.com covering the Patriots. Have a good night. Have a good week. Talk to you next week. Go Pats.